Okay, guys, today we're on to another mission. The kill switch on this bike does not work. Okay, so the kill switch is right there. It's this toggle switch here. Okay, it doesn't do anything, but the bike always runs, right? Like there's no issue with that. But the fact that the kill switch doesn't run, for me is a safety issue. Just basically because on this bike, the ignition is on the side of the headlight here. And, you can just imagine if the throttle's stuck open in some major issue, well, obviously you could pull in the clutch, I guess, and stop the bike, but there's no really good way to go and actually kill the engine here because you're screaming down the road, you got your hands on the handlebars, are you really going to be able to reach around and turn that ignition off? Well, it's a maybe. Obviously, like I said, you can pull the clutch in, but then does that at the expense, does that mean, that definitely means if you got your hand on the clutch here, you definitely can't do that and also get the ignition. So you're just going to do that till the engine explodes, I guess. Well, I guess you could pop it in a neutral and then turn the key off. But you guys get my point, okay? Bottom line, I would be much, much happier with a kill switch that works. And Lucas Electric's deep sigh. Unfortunately, I have a fair bit of experience working on Lucas Electrics, as I'm sure any of us that have anything British know. I've also got a Triumph TR3A car. So anyways, dealing with these electrical issues is incredibly painful. Lucas Electrics are just terrible. Well, I'm sure I'm going to get lots of comments for that, but anyways, that's just my humble opinion, whatever that's worth, which I'm sure is not much. But in any event, what we're going to do today is we are going to try to figure out what's going on with this, and I've already figured something out a little bit. It was kind of funny because I took the switch off and I did some testing, and I couldn't find the switch working at all. It didn't seem to matter where I tested, I was always getting power. The other weird thing about these switches and this bike, actually, because it's got a positive ground, normally you would just ground the bike out, right? Well, because it's got a positive ground, that's not how this switch works. This switch actually has power going all the way up here, and this is actually turning power on and off for the coils at the switch here. Rather than a grounding out system, it actually is it's essentially a power switch, and with wires coming up to it. So I took a look in the headlight here, and what somebody had done is you're not going to be able to see this well on the video, but there's a white wire here, and this other wire here is white with a yellow stripe. And what somebody's done is they've just put one of these connectors in here to connect these two wires together. Those are the two wires that are actually sending power. The white wire is power from, I believe, from the battery essentially, and then the yellow is power back to the coil, or the white wire with yellow strip is power back to the coils. Now I may have the mixed up, but anyways, you get the idea. Bottom line, somebody has essentially jumpered this to bypass the switch, and that's why I was always getting power no matter which terminals I was testing, because somebody has bypassed the switch. So anyways, I've disconnected these terminals here. Apparently these terminals are also really terrible. These things often go bad, so maybe this is why somebody had done that. Maybe these terminals are bad. I'm not too sure, but what we're going to do is we're going to take the switch off and we're going to do some testing on the bench and see what's going on with this. Is the problem in the switch? Is the problem in the wiring? I don't know, but I'm going to try to get the kill switch to work. So that's what we're doing on this video. We'll find out what happens. Okay guys, so we've got the wires disconnected inside the headlight. Now we're going to take the switch off. And one of the things that's, again, a little strange about, this switch is that it's also got a connector in there for for your brake light. And unfortunately, we have to actually take the switch apart here while it's on the bike, because otherwise we'd have to take the pole master cylinder mechanism with this switch as well to get it onto the bench. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but you'll see what I mean here in a moment when we get this apart. Okay, And there she be. Now, because we've got the master cylinder here, it's sealed, of course, but I'm going to try to get that kind of propped up here so it doesn't fall over too bad. Now, here's what I mean about the switch. You'll see that inside here, right there, okay, we have the brown and white wire. Now, that's for our brake light, okay? And so we need to take this bit of the switch out. This is a really, really terrible design, and when we take it out, I'll talk a little bit more about why this is an awful design, but we have to take those off, so that's what we got to do next to get the switch off so we can get it onto our bench. Okay guys, so now we're going to go and take this this out of here, okay? And that is a Phillips. Here she comes. There she is. Okay, great. Now we're going to leave our master cylinder to the side here so she doesn't fall over. And then we've finally got it off. Okay, great. And there, believe it or not, okay, maybe I'll talk now a little bit about why this is such a terrible mechanism for the brake. So there's your brake, right? The brake has a little pin on the back of the handle here. Okay, maybe if I do this, like you can see it. You see that little pin here, right in here? You see that? Okay. So that, believe it or not, lines up with another pin, this pin here, and pushes this, and that is what actuates your switch. How ridiculous having two pins touching each other. These things will often slide past each other and just not work. It's another, example of terrible, terrible Lucas engineering. Anyways, not much we can do about it, and that's not our problem, interestingly. That's, touch wood working. Our problem is this kill switch. So we're going to put it on the bench now and see why our kill switch isn't working. Is it the switch? Is it the wiring? What the hell is it? So that's what we're going to do now. Okay guys, so now that we have the switch off the bike, we can see what's going on here a little bit better. And you can see here with this red doohickey here that they have jumped the white wire and the yellow, there's a white straight white wire and a white wire with a yellow stripe, and they've jumped those two, which is effectively rendering the switch non-functional, this switch here. So that's actually making sure that there's constant connection for the power to the bike, always on, because they've put this here. So that's the jumper they've used. To properly test the switch, we need to take this apart, take this off so that these wires are no longer jumped. So that's what we're going to do now. All right, and you can see how that little doohickey worked. I've not come across one of those connectors before, but I've got other snap connectors that do the same sort of thing, but that's what they did. They jumped those two wires. You can see that pretty distinctly there, eh? So we're going to take that off. Wow. Okay, put that aside. Get that out of our way. Okay, so obviously we've got two damaged wires there, but our connector is off. So now we can test our switch properly to see if our switch works. So I'm not absolutely certain. Well, actually, you know what? Let's test which connector is which here. So white wire here. I'm going to test this white wire here for continuity, and we're going to see which of these white wires it is. Seems to be that one. There's another white wire on this switch, so I just want to test it as well. It's not there, so it is here. Okay, so that white wire connects to right here on this switch. Now the yellow wire, I shouldn't call it the yellow wire, it is a white wire with a yellow stripe. Okay, we're going to test that back down to the switch, and that's this one here. Yeah, it's nothing else. Okay, good, yeah, definitely that. Well, why is that still connected to white? That's interesting. What the hell's going on there? Oh, you know why? You know why? Because the switch is on. That's why. Okay, let's turn the switch off. We're testing the function of our switch. Okay, let's see now. Let's go and see, test that yellow wire again. And test it back to the white. And nothing. Okay, that's perfect. So we're actually testing the function of the switch there. So there we have open circuit. Okay, let's flip the switch and have the same contact. There we go. So our switch is working, guys. So we know our switch is working. That's in the on position. This is the down position, so it should be off now. Yeah, turn it back on. Okay, so we know that that is now working. Now, the question is, now what I could do is I could, I guess, like just wrap some, clean these wires up, put this back on the bike, and it should work, right? Well, the question is, why did somebody do this? Why did somebody didn't do this just for fun. I don't think anybody purposely disabled a kill switch without a good reason to do so. Why did they do this? Well, my guess just from looking at other forums is that these connectors here, these Lucas connectors, are terrible. And these things, at the end of the day, if these don't make good connection into the bike, if it's rattling around in there, then it's not going to work properly, and it could give an intermittent result with the bike. And obviously, when we're talking about spark, that's a big issue. So my guess is that they did it because these connectors were not making good contact. It is a bit of a pure guess, but I think that's what's going on. So I think what we need to do now is, I think what we're going to do is put some traditional connectors onto these, get rid of these things on both the bike side and on the switch side, and then reinstall our switch, and then it should work. That's what I think is the best approach, because then we are taking these crazy Lucas connectors out of the equation. And I know from looking at forums that these are notoriously a problem. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, guys, just before, cutting wires and putting things together, I wanted to double check that, I've got the right wires going to the right connectors on both sides. So here we've got the white wire with the yellow stripe going to white wire with yellow stripe. That's a check mark. And then, our other white wire here is our white wire. A little hard for you guys to see that. Down here on the underside here, that white wire there is going to this white wire here. So that's all pretty obvious too. But here's the confusing thing. Now we've got a white wire with red stripe going to nothing, blank on that side. And then we've got a white wire over here going to nothing over here. Okay, do you see that? So, here's what I think. I don't know, but I believe that they use this wiring harness for a few different models. And I think this red wire, or white wire with red stripe that is going to nothing, is actually for bikes that had an electric starter. And then that would actually use a momentary switch on the same switch we're using. It's at the top. I can show you later. That would be for the starter. And I don't believe that switch is even used on this bike. So I think what I'm going to do, I've been thinking about it, and I think rather than ripping both of these apart, I think I'm just going to take out the wires we need, which is the white wire with yellow stripe on both sides, and the white wire, this one that's hiding down here, and this one here. Take them out of these, out of this holder here. We're going to put proper butt end, or proper, more modern butt end connectors on those, connect those up. Obviously, we're going to clean up the issues with the wires that we have here. But then for the other two wires that are going nowhere, I'm going to continue to leave them going to nowhere and use the same connector, if I can, to just connect them into the bike and leave them alone. Just for the next person that might have this bike, it might make some sense to them to have these old connectors. I don't know. It's either that, or I would just nip them off and wrap some black tape around them and not use them. That's also an option. But bottom line, interestingly, we've got wires there on both sides that go to nowhere. And like I say, I'm guessing that has to do with bikes that had an electric start, but don't really know. Ah, Lucas wiring. It's always a mystery. Okay, sounds good. Let's get after it. Okay, guys, so we're going to get after it here. The other one thing I didn't mention, perhaps I should, is there are obviously two of these connectors. I think I mentioned before, this is for our rear brake light, and it's actually working. So I'm actually not going to replace these connectors here now. If I start having intermittent issues, I'll know that it's either the switch, which I already showed you is a terrible design, or these wires, and I'll look at that again another day. But I'm going to keep these. This here, what we're going to do is we're just going to nip off the wires that we need. So we're going to do that now, and then put connectors on there so I know which ones to actually keep and which ones keep inside the connectors and which ones to actually put bud end connectors on for a switch, if that makes any sense. So just going to temporarily hook that up. So again, we've got our white wire with yellow stripe here, white wire with yellow stripe here. I've already tried kind of pulling these out of here. They don't seem to want to come out very easy, so I'm just going to do this. There we go, that's that one. And then we also need our white wire, which is this one here. Okay, this one here goes to this one here, so we're just going to do that. Done. So now we know those are the two wires that we need to put connectors onto, okay? And then on this side, we'll probably do something very similar. Luckily, we have lots of length in this cable, so I think I may just prune this back a little bit. In fact, I think we're going to do that. In fact, I think let's right now, where the cables are damaged, okay, where they're damaged, you can see because these were spliced together with that that pressed together fitting. We're going to just cut it right there. And we're going to cut it right here on the yellow. Done. Okay, good. So that we know we need to go and put fittings on there as well. So those, now that we've got them cut off, we know where we need to put our fittings. We'll clean this up a little bit. Maybe I'll try pulling those two out of there because obviously they're not needed. But again, we're going to leave that red and white wire here on this one. We're going to leave that white wire here on this one that don't connect to anything. We're going to leave that for the next guy for, you know, God only knows, maybe someone wants to retrofit this bike and put an electric starter on it and wants to, you know, this will let them know where those wires are supposed to be, looking at wiring diagrams. If I just randomly snip them off and leave them buried in here, it'll be even more of a mystery for them. Because this is the original way it was, so even those aren't being used, I'm going to keep that original configuration, leave it in there for the next guy. Everybody needs a mystery to go and work on, so that'll hopefully make the mystery a little bit less for them. So let's put this back on the bench and get some connectors on this one. We'll get some connectors on this one, and yeah, we'll get after it. Okay guys, so yeah, so what we're going to do now is let's first off see if we can just pull these things out of here or push them through or something just to clean this up, because if not I'll just nip them right off, I guess. But man, those things are in there. Okay, they're not coming out, so we're just going to nip them off a little bit closer and be done with it. I just don't want them sitting there like that. It was kind of terrible, so. Okay, good. Got those off. Now what we want to do is we want a little bit more length here. So there's actually inside this cable is a handy dandy puller for ripping the cable. Or ripping the sheeting on the cable. Oh, it looks like it might be deteriorating if it's not working too well. Ah, it's just not working too well. So we're gonna just cut this open a little bit carefully. We're sheeting. Give us a little bit more room to work with. Okay. There we go. I just happen to know when I put this, there's actually quite a bit of room on this cable, so we're good to do that. So that's good. Oh, look at all that junk that's inside these old cables. Okay, so now what we're going to do is just go and get some. Oh, maybe I better close that up first, just out of safety. Let's strip these off. Okay, and I think what we're going to do is I think we're going to put the male side on this one. So this is what we're going to use. We're going to use these guys, these bullet connectors that go like that, right? I think you're all familiar with those. And I think we'll put the male side on the plug side. Doesn't make any difference really. Makes zero difference. And I've got the proper crimping tool here. For those of you that are doing something similar to this, I highly recommend you spend the money and get a proper crimping tool. What I find is just to gently put it in the tool. Okay, guys. So my my camera there ran out of juice and stopped halfway through. But basically, all we've done is put the bullet connectors on here. I used the crimping tool to crimp them on. And now what we're going to do is go and put the female connectors, the other side of these. So these are just going to go on there. So we're going to actually do the same on the bike side and crimp them on. It's going to be a little bit harder on the bike because we don't have as much length, and of course doing it on the bike isn't as easy as doing it on the bench here. But that's what we're going to do next, is get the female bullet connectors onto the bike side, and we're going to do that now. Okay guys, so now what we want to do is put those female butt connectors on, and we're going to put them onto these wires here. So to do that, we first need obviously to strip the wires off. There's not a lot of room here, but we're going to see if we can get these in here and strip this off. Hopefully I can do that with these, because it's a lot nicer using this tool than doing it by hand. I'm just adjusting the length here to get the length I need. Okay, there's one. See if we can get lucky and get the other in here as well. There we go. Just about. Yeah, that looks good. There's two. Okay, we got lucky. We had just enough length to do that without having to do it differently. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our female connectors, and again I'm going to put them, I like putting them into here first and just getting them cinched down a little bit, and then putting the wire in this way. So that's what we're going to try doing here. Got that in there. There's one. All right, let's see if we can do the other. Again, I'm just putting into the crimping tool here, so just getting that adjusted like that. I'm not putting any tension on it yet though. Okay, just like that. Gonna give her a little bit of a twist here so it all goes in nice and neat. Yeah, probably a little hard for you guys to see, but I'm just sliding it on there. Trying to slide it on there. There's not a lot of room in here. Let's hold this one with a pair of needle nose. That'll make life easier. And that's what we want. We want life to be easier, right? Okay. Give that a go. All right. Okay, great. We got them both on there, so that's good. So we've got, again, that's our white wire and our white wire with yellow stripes. So got those on there. So now I think the next thing is, obviously, let's grab our switch. Okay guys, so now what I'm going to do is, let me just back this out a little bit here for you. You can see a little bit better what I'm doing. I'm going to now go and feed the wires down, and we're going to start installing the switch on here. I'll probably fast forward through some of this, but you guys get the idea. What we have to do is feed the wires down into the headlight assembly here, in through this port here. And then connect all the wires up, and obviously reassemble our switch as well. So that's going to be the process here. So yeah, this is going to take me a little while, but it's going to go really fast for you because I'm going to fast forward through this for you. So. Okay, so now we've got the wires fished back into the headlight here, and now we're going to actually connect all the wires. So I think we'll connect the ones that matter the least first. And that's definitely this one here. This is with the two wires that go nowhere. with our old connector, our old crappy Lucas connector, but these wires aren't doing anything anyways. We'll just do that. That's good. Next, we'll hook up our, this is our brake lights, and we're going to still use this old connector because it is currently working, or at least it was before I took it apart. So we'll revisit this if we need to later, but for now, I'm just going to put that back together again. Okay. And then what we're going to do is connect the wires that we've taken out of the connector here and rehook them up. Okay, so this is where we really need a good connection, because this is power to the bike. So these connectors, if they're not working, you're dead in the water. So, and I'm pretty sure this is why somebody, you know, had put that jumper on there back in the day. So yeah, so that's why we're doing this. So we've got the yellow wire, which is the white wire with the yellow stripe, going to the white wire. Oh, no, you don't, Charles. You got that wrong. Here we go. Now we've got it right. That would have spoiled our day. Okay, we've got the white wire with yellow stripe, the white wire with yellow stripe. Just gonna grab some connector, some needle nose here and get those really pushed home. There we go. That's in there properly. And then we're going to do the same with the white wire, so let's get that in there. Again, we're going to grab some needle nose and push these really home. Yeah, there we go. That's in there nice and good. We've got a super solid connection there. So now that's it for inside the headlight. I'm happy with that, so that's good. Now what we need to do is go and hook our switch up with our funky brake switch, if you recall this thing. So that's going to be next. Okay guys, so the next step here is to obviously to hook the switch up. Now before we can actually put this thing together, because it goes like that, right? We have to get this brake doohickey, our brake switch, into here, and it gets secured way down in there. So I'm going to try to give you guys a view of that. So to do that, I'm actually going to secure the handle here just with a bit of tape to kind of hold it in place, so I can kind of give you a shot of what this looks like. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll come right back. Okay guys, I've got the camera set up to try to give you an idea of what we're doing here, because I think this is one of those things that some people might like a view of, as to how to get this switch back together again. I know, frankly, I would have liked a video like this. So anyways, I've set it up here, so hopefully you have a view of it. So essentially what we need to do, and again, maybe just before I put it together, just quickly on the operation of this switch. When you depress the brake handle, I'm not going to do it now, it goes and it will actually push this out a little bit, okay? And you can see that here, and you can see the contacts back here. There's a spring in here and some copper, and that's essentially what is activating the switch. So for your brake light, so we have to get that back in there, and this drops into here, kind of like this. Here I'm trying to do this so you can see what I'm doing. Drops in there like that, and then it has a little Phillips head screw that needs to go into here. Oh, hang on, come back. Did I mention this is a really bad design? Yeah, it's a really bad design. So get that in there nice and tight. Good. Okay, good. So that's how you get that switch in there. As you can see, it basically drops in and it comes out just as easy. So don't be intimidated by that crazy thing. Just basically you just take that screw out and it will come out, and conversely that's how you get it back in as well. Okay, so now that we've got that in there, now we can actually secure this to the handlebars. So that will be the next step. I'll get this tape off and I'll bring you back. Okay guys, now that we have the brake switch on there, we can now start reassembling our switch onto the bike. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to get one screw in here initially. I'll probably fast forward through some of this. You don't need to see me do this so much. It's fairly obvious, isn't it? But we'll just get it started on there, and then we just put the rest of them in and button it up, and then we're good to go. So that's pretty much it. And then we're going to test it and make sure that the work we've done is, you know, actually working. Okay, so we have it all buttoned up and ready to test. So I've got, as you can see, I've got the spark plugs out on both sides. I've got the key ignition turned on. I have the switch currently in the on position. Okay, that's off and that's on. So you notice that click, right? Off, on. That'll be important in a moment when we do the test. So I'm just going to zoom you in a little bit more on that spark plug so you can actually see the spark. So currently, as you saw, it is in the on position. Okay. Yeah, so let's, hang on, let's get that a little bit more in frame. There we go. That's not too bad. Let's give it a kick and see if we have some spark. There we go. Lots of great spark there. So, okay, so we've got lots of spark. Let's go and now turn it off, and we should have nothing. There should be nothing there. So, turned it off. You heard the click, and nothing. So now we'll turn it on. Wait for the click. There you go. She's back on. Oh, my foot fell off. There we go. And there's our spark. So as you can see, she's completely back together again. So I am very, very happy about that. That was a fair bit of work, but well worth it. You know, it's, yeah, I was just uncomfortable going and using the bike without a kill switch working on the bike, especially given the location of the key switch. So I am very happy to have that working. And happy to have that little job behind me because I really hate working with Lucas wiring. So hopefully that's the end of it. Fingers crossed, I guess time will tell. Anyways, guys, thanks again for watching the video. I really appreciate it. If you could subscribe if you haven't already, I would appreciate that a lot. I could really use the subscribers. Please also like and leave a comment. As you probably know, I reply to all the comments and I love all of them. If there were things that I should have done better or could have done differently, or you just want to leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. That's great too. So please do that and I will commit to replying back to you for sure. So anyways, guys, that's it for this one. And we will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.